What's going on, baseball fans? How are we doing? So in this week's throwback video, I'm going to talk about a player that tormented my Red Sox for quite some time, Jose Bautista. He actually had quite an interesting career, so let's go talk about it. Before I get started, think about subscribing to the channel down below. Hit that like button for me. Hit that like button, you know you want to. Hit the bell button, hit the share button, hit all the buttons. Growing up in the Dominican Republic, Jose Bautista had a family that highly valued education. While he loved baseball, he wanted to pursue an education in case his baseball future didn't work out. He went to a Catholic university and studied business. During his time as an amateur free agent, Jose Bautista received some offers to come play in the major leagues. The Yankees offered him $5,000, which he did decline. Eventually, the Diamondbacks offered him $42,000, but he declined that as well. Eventually, he accepted an offer from the Cincinnati Reds for $300,000, but that offer ended up being rescinded because the Reds changed ownership. At this point, Bautista had to take a different route. He filmed himself taking batting practice and he sent it to colleges in America. He ended up going to Chipola College in Marianna, Florida. He played there for 2 years and eventually was drafted by the Pirates 599th overall in the 20th round in the 2000 Major League Baseball draft. He was in the Pirates system for a few seasons, but eventually they put him in the Rule 5 draft where the Orioles ended up selecting him, which would mean that he would have to be on their roster for that next season. He played with the Orioles for 16 games, but they weren't sure about his bat, and eventually he was waived and he was claimed by the Tampa Bay Rays. After 12 games with the Rays, he was waived once again because they wanted to go with Joey Gathright instead. Man, remember that name? And then he was claimed by the Royals, where he would play for 13 games. After the Royals decided that Desi Relaford would get most of the at-bats, they traded him to the Mets, who thought he had a ceiling of a fourth outfielder, and was then traded back to the Pirates minutes later that brought back Chris Benson. It's funny he ended up going back to the Pirates because a scout on the Pirates, Jack Powell, loved Bautista from the very beginning and thought he had 30 home run potential. Overall, he had been with 5 teams that season, which is actually a record for most teams a player was on for one season. He was with the Pirates for 4 seasons after this, and they wanted him to focus on hitting the ball the opposite way, but Bautista did not agree with this philosophy. The relationship ended up souring, and he was then traded to the Blue Jays for Robinson Diaz, a catcher in their system who was there simply for depth. Funny enough, when the Blue Jays general manager J.P. Riccardi was asked about the trade, he said Bautista wasn't going to be like Mike Schmidt and hit 40 homers. Oh, how silly these comments ended up being. This was the point Jose Bautista's career took a turn for the better. In his first 14 at-bats with the Blue Jays, he actually went hitless after coaches talked with Bautista about trying to just relax, but most importantly, working with him on his swing timing while adopting a new grip and rip style swing. He went on to hit .273 with a .523 slugging and 3 homers for the rest of the season. In 2009, he started off the year on the bench, but he hit well in his first month, hitting .317 with an .868 OPS. After this, though, he went on to hit only .204 with a .623 OPS from May to August, but he was more disciplined at the plate than at any point in his career, as he had an on-base percentage of .344 during that time. In September, though, things really took off for Bautista as he hit 10 homers with a .944 OPS in his final 30 games. 2010 is where Jose Bautista went absolutely crazy in his career. In April, he got off to a bit of a slow start, only hitting .214, but he went nuts in May, hitting .287 with an OPS of 1.188 and 12 home runs. By the end of May, he had already tied a career high in home runs with 16. After a down June, only hitting .179, he was on fire again in July, hitting .347 that month with an OPS of 1.184. He ended up making the All-Star team and was awarded Player of the Month honors with Delman Young. From August until the end of the season, he had an OPS of 1.050 and hit 23 homers while driving in 45 runs. That is just ridiculous. Overall, for that year, he hit .260 with 54 home runs, 109 RBIs, and an OPS of .995. He finished 4th in MVP voting and won the American League Hank Aaron Award along with a Silver Slugger. After 2010, the Blue Jays rewarded Bautista with a 5-year deal worth $64 million. From not being signed to having to go to a junior college to being on 5 different teams in one season to $64 million. Not too bad, if you ask me. It didn't stop there for Bautista, though, as he ended up having his best season overall in 2011. While his 43 homers fell short of his career high of 54 the year prior, he had a much better all-around season. He set a career high in on-base percentage with a .447 and actually set the Blue Jays record for walks in a month with 28 in April, breaking the previous record of 26 held by Carlos Delgado. He would also hit a career high in slugging with a .617, a career high WRC plus of 180, and overall, his Fangraph WAR for that season was 8.1, which was the highest in Blue Jays history until Josh Donaldson broke it in 2015. In 2011, he won AL Player of the Month in April and May, and he was the leading vote getter for the All-Star game. While Jose Bautista would finish behind Jacoby Ellsbury and Justin Verlander in the AL MVP voting, Jose Bautista had an amazing season in 2011. In 2012, Bautista would be announced as the cover athlete for the Canadian version of MLB The Show and would set the Blue Jays record for home runs in a month with 14. He was voted to another All-Star game, but his season would be cut short due to wrist surgery. In 2013, while he did make yet another All-Star game, his season was cut short yet again due to a bone bruise in his hip. In 2014, though, he got off to a red-hot start, reaching base safely in his first 37 games, which is a Blue Jays franchise record. He was back to his old ways, totaling a 6.2 Fangraph WAR while hitting .286 with a .928 OPS, 35 homers, and 103 RBIs. He would also hit his 200th home run as a Blue Jay that season, joining an exclusive club of Carlos Delgado, Vernon Wells, Joe Carter, Edwin Encarnacion, and George Bell as the only players to hit 200 home runs for the Blue Jays. Since Bautista came onto the scene in a big way in 2010, the Blue Jays had not made the playoffs in any of these seasons, but that was about to change. Bautista went on to have a very solid 2015 season, hitting at least 40 homers for the 3rd time in his career and driving in another 100 runs for the 4th time in his career. However, this was not what Blue Jays and baseball fans remember the most from that season with Bautista. The Blue Jays made the playoffs for the first time since winning a World Series in 1993, and Bautista would go on to have one of the most iconic moments in Major League Baseball history. In Game 5 against the Rangers in the first round of the playoffs, the Blue Jays found themselves down 3-2 in the bottom of the 7th. After a rally, the Blue Jays were able to tie the game, and up stepped Bautista. On a 1-1 count, Bautista cranked a pitch from Sam Dyson to what felt like the moon. This followed with arguably the best bat flip of all time. In the end, however, the Blue Jays were knocked out of the playoffs by the Royals, who would go on to win the World Series. In 2016, despite seeing a dip in Bautista's numbers, the Blue Jays would once again make it back to the playoffs. While we did see a memorable brawl between Bautista and Rougned Odor in the division round, the Blue Jays would fall once again in the championship round, but this time to the Cleveland Indians. In 2017, he re-signed a 1-year deal for $18 million to stay with the Blue Jays, but we would see his numbers diminish even further. He would hit a major league low .203, and the Blue Jays decided to decline Bautista's option for the 2018 season. In 2018, Bautista would go on to sign a minor league deal with the Braves, but was eventually released. He did latch on with the Mets, and while he did hit a walk-off grand slam against the Rays, which was the first walk-off of his career, he was eventually traded to the Phillies and hasn't played in the majors since then. While he has expressed an interest in returning to the majors as a two-way player, we have yet to see him, and it looks like his memorable career is all but over. So in the end, Jose Bautista had one of the most interesting careers. It's crazy to think that this guy was on 5 different teams in one season and then ended up going to the Blue Jays and absolutely just tore up the major leagues during that time. Jose Bautista, I will always remember that amazing bat flip. Tell me your thoughts down below. What were some of your favorite Jose Bautista moments? But that's all I have for right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.